Wednesday on the PCTV network. Hey, we're looking forward to hearing from you. Remember, it's live on PCTV. View some of the other shows that we've done here. The Little Brothers was a real popular show, and the Hall family was here talking about their racing. So check out some of the old episodes, but tonight we're here live with a new episode. Second Wednesday of each month we do a new episode, and then it's rerun throughout the month. Check the Pottstown Mercury. It's on just about every day, so you can watch it on Channel 22, or like I said, for people that don't get that, check us out on the internet, Car Stories. I have two shops here in Pottstown. My company name is Wheels in Motion. This is our new set here. We have a new backdrop and a new counter. Some of the license plates up front and the t-shirts that my son got me for Christmas, got them framed for me, are my history around Pottstown, a couple cars that I've owned. So tonight, Jeff and Tony are going to talk about, we're going to start off with Tony actually first, and he's going to talk about Pottstown Classic Car Club Cruise Nights right here on High Street, the first Saturday of each month throughout the summer. So Tony, take it away.
Okay. Like I said, our shows are the first Saturday night, May through September, from 5 to 9 p.m. on High Street. We block off High Street from York Street all the way down to Franklin Street. Our first show would be May 4th, and we have different venues for our shows this year. That'll be Salute to America. We're giving out trophies for the first and second place best decorated cars, and the first and second place best decorated couple, or persons. Our next show would be June 1st, and that's going to be Back to Happy Days. Same thing with that. We're giving out trophies for that. And then July 6th is our light show. I believe we're giving trophies out for that too. The committee hasn't gotten back to me on that yet. But our biggest show is going to be August 3rd. It'll be honoring our law enforcement and first responders. We have, I think they said, have 13 police departments coming into the area and 6 surrounding fire companies. And we're going to be honoring them with plaques. And each plaque is going to have the company's insignia on it.
Wow, that's really cool, Tony.
Then our very last show, which would be September 7th, that's going to be the Wild West. Don't ask me about that because I haven't said anything about it like that. I guess we're going to see sidearms strapped on everybody on High Street.
Yeah, so this year all the shows have a theme. Like,
yes.
That's a good idea. That ought to bring some, especially the fire and police one. That's really a great idea.
Yeah, and it's a $10 registration fee per vehicle. Everybody's welcome, and it's a family-friendly event.
Right. You take your car out for a cruise. You go get something to eat at one of the fine places on High Street. Hang out for a little bit, and you can come and go. You know, some car shows you're committed for the whole day or the whole night. The nice thing about the cruise night on High Street is you can stay for an hour or 5 hours, and it's really a neat event. So if you can make it to any one of those, we're going to do a live show. Car Stories is going to be there. We're not sure which one yet, so you'll have to stay tuned. But we're going to be out on High Street like we did last year, filming some of the cars and talking to some of the people. So.
Mm-hmm. And one thing I think, is also maybe important to mention is, a lot of folks don't realize that the $10 that gets donated when you come through the gate to show your car, a lot of that money makes its way back into the community.
Absolutely, that's great.
Different organizations that the club donates to, whether it's, organizations or just maybe folks that are down on their luck and, could need some help. And I think that's something that,
Like who, Tony? Who
some of the people we do, the Pottstown Police Athletic League,
right.
Meals on Wheels.
Right.
We do 2 Christmas families per year, needy families in the area. Relay for Life for Pottstown.
Right.
We also do the Pottstown Cluster and Ambox for the
Soapbox Derby.
Soapbox
you guys
Derby.
Supporting the Soapbox Derby for a number of years.
Yeah.
Which is coming up here soon.
Yeah, it's coming up soon. So
June 16th, I think.
Father's Day weekend. It all goes back into the community.
Weekend. Okay.
It all goes back into the community, and our motto is serving the community through our hobby.
And it does. I mean, it brings families together. You see old friends. You see old cars. A nice summer night on High Street is hard to beat if you're a car person. Like I said, even to some people that aren't in the cars, it's a nice night out. Go for a walk down High Street, get something to eat, and who knows who you might bump into. So Pottstown Classics, good club, good cause. Pottstown's a car car town. So
Yes.
that's
Yeah, it is.
that's a given there. So, all right, is that all you have for us tonight?
I think that's all I have for
Want to
everything.
give a shout out to somebody?
Oh yeah, Pop. My dad's in the hospital down Pottstown Hospital. He has pneumonia. Hi, Pop. How you doing? Get better soon.
Yeah, and if you remember Tony Zimba, last month I showed some pictures of the Willies and stuff. That's his pop. And Paulie Zimba's his brother and another racing family. So now we're going to move on to a correction from last month's show. Last month I showed some pictures that came from Norman Bowman. And I'm going to pop up my first picture here, if everybody remembers this one, who watched last month's show. I referred to this Camaro here, 67 big block Camaro. And I said the wrong name. Now the name on the door is Sam Demi. It's on the fender. And I said Steve Takach, and I'm here to apologize and say it's Gene Takach. And this picture is a picture of his car back in the day, big block 67. And this picture, I think I said before, but it was up in front of the High and Burke Street.
The Sunoco station.
Sunoco
in front of
station,
Power Wash.
in front of the old Power Wash car, which the building still looks pretty much the same today. But
And
yes.
I had the opportunity to talk to Gene
Did you?
after the show.
Oh, cool.
And Gene shared with me that that car was purchased new, and before it ever went to the street, it went to the racetrack.
Oh, my
I think
gosh.
they raced it for a year and a half, 2 years, he shared with me, and then it got put on the street. I don't know. I'm not sure that he even knows what happened to it after that.
And that's what he did back
But
then.
actually, it
yeah.
went to the racetrack before it got put on the street.
On the street.
Correct.
Oh, my.
Yeah.
That's just a neat story. Again, a lot of history here in this town. Now, today, Gene has another hot rod. Here's one picture of it. And then I actually have two of them, so we can get both of them. Two different views of it. 63 Chevy 2, Jeffrey?
63 Chevy 2, yes.
Yep, what,
Very
small
nice car.
block, automatic?
Yep, small block. I believe it's a 350 automatic. You know, Gene makes all the local shows. He really enjoys getting out with his wife, Ginny, and,
Right.
you know, he's very supportive. He's very supportive of the car club, too, you know, and
Yeah.
anything going on in the borough. without
That's
a doubt.
excellent.
Yep.
Now, we can comment on the license plate on the front of that car. If you saw it, it was yellow. The Moose Crew. The Moose Crew in Pottstown had a lot of cars that Junior tuned on, worked on, built engines, and Horace Reinford, too, is the other brother. So I'm asking them actually, Scott Reinford emailed me some pictures, okay? So thanks, Scott. And I'm asking Junior if he can to give me a call. I'm going to try to stop up. We got to get you penciled in. This summer, we have some really good guests coming on the show, a lot of local racing history, and Junior has to come on. So, and Horace. I want both the Moose Crew, the whole gang on here, because they had a lot of different people in town that ran with the Moose Crew plate, and as you can see today, Gene still sports it on his Chevy 2. And Junior, he still works up at the garage. He has a street rod that he built a couple years ago for himself, and he attends a lot of the shows, cruise nights. So you know, Duryea Day, I always see him. There's his street rod right there. Jeffrey.
And that just goes to show you, 32
32
Ford, I believe
Ford?
it is, yeah.
Yeah.
And I know that, you know, like you say, Junior, you know, makes it out to a few shows a year, but it just goes to show that, you know, Junior started back in the 60s, you know, what, 5-6 decades ago.
Right.
And, you know, he's still continuing with it today and, you know, still doing the job up on Beach Street in Pottstown. And like I say, it's something where, you know, you get the car deal into your blood and it's kind of tough to get
Right.
rid of, you know,
Well-
even as you age. Maybe you morph into different venues, so to
Right.
speak, but at the end of the day, you know, you kind of
That's
stay
right.
with it and, you know, stay with your friends and the memories. And, you know,
Right, and his
keep it
dad
going.
had the garage before him, and I don't even know, maybe his grandfather did. Junior will have to come and tell us the history, but I remember as a kid, his dad was in the garage up there, and Junior was Junior. you know?
Right, that's right.
And then Horace always had his stuff going, the 55 Chevy convertible. I had a gas station in town, and there goes this 55 Chevy convertible. It didn't look too bad, original, on a trailer. And it was Horace and the gang. And the next time I saw the car, it was slammed down, tubbed, a big block, drag car, just an awesome machine that he still has today. So again, Moose Crew, big part of Pottstown's racing history.
I guess we pretty much just committed Junior to come
Junior,
along,
you
too.
better get on the show.
I don't know
Yeah,
how he's
better
going to get
come
out of it now, truthfully. You know,
I got
it's going to be kind of tough. You know?
I got the Zimba here now. I got to get Paulie here.
gonna be a tough one.
Talking with Marvin Yerger to come on and Steve Panko.
I believe
you know,
Larry Shaner used to run out of the
Larry
Moose Crew
Shaner
garage,
was
and
out of the Moose Crew.
He was on with the Little Brothers, I believe.
Yeah, there's a lot of
history.
Well, back then though, there was only like 5 families that drag raced in Pottstown. Pottstown, and we pretty much named them. Nowadays, there's a lot of guys that go for a hobby, go for the weekend, but back then, drag racing was at the the beginning stages, and only the true motorhead, gearhead guys, and there was only half a dozen maybe tops in this area. And Jeff Chumnock, our guest tonight, he's going to share with you some other local histories of Maple Grove, the drag strip that's closest to Pottstown. Started in 1962, and there was a couple track champions throughout the years, some of them local, some of them outside of Pottstown. So Jeff is going to share some information with us and some pictures tonight about the drag cars at Maple Grove and their ties to Pottstown.
Yeah. After last month's show, I got together with Mike, and we had talked about maybe talking about some of the history of drag racing in Pottstown from the early days. So I offered to come on with Mike and talk about the 3 Money Trail track champions from the 1970s that came from Pottstown. I'll start out with the first one. I'm sure everyone involved in the history of drag racing at all, or drag racing at all, would remember the name Carol Hine. And the photo you're about to see is probably, I'm going to say, from mid-60s, maybe going into the late 60s, ran B Street Roadster.
It's real similar to the photo I showed last month that Norman Bowman sent.
Yes, exactly.
Pretty much the same time.
Yep.
You can tell by the wheels and the, it looks like the same time frame.
And as you can see when you look at the car there, safety was a real big issue back in the 60s. You had a roll bar and everything was exposed with a helmet with leather straps like over your ears. So we've definitely progressed, through the years without a doubt. The next photo is, I'm going to say, changed the car up to a big block car with fuel injection, started running B-altered with it. I want to say that's probably late 60s, maybe going into the early 70s. As you can see, he took the Street Roadster designation off and put the A on there for altered.
Look at that big motor.
Yeah, big block Chevy with fuel injection on it, Hilborn injection. We probably ran that for a couple years, and then as the Money Trail got started in 71, I believe the photo you're about to see is what the car looked like in 71 when Carol won the track championship.
And just so you know, folks, Hine Auto Body, Hine's Garage is still open today on 724 in Douglasville. Yep. Young Carol is working out of it.
Jerry.
Young Carol works out of it. He actually has the machine shop up there and builds a lot of engines for Grandview Speedway. He does a lot of stock car stuff yet.
And who else, Tony? Jerry?
Jerry, his son Jerry, is actually running the body shop.
Oh, he's running the body shop. I didn't know that.
And, again, you're going back decades, with a family that's, been involved in drag racing around the area, whether it's Maple Grove, Atco. That's the one thing, too, back in the...
Look at the helmet.
Back in the 60s, 70s, and even into the early 80s, Pottstown was within an hour, maybe 2 hours of a half a dozen or more drag strips. Right. You had the Pocono Drag Lodge, you had Vargo, you had Atco, Englishtown, Cecil County, Maple Grove, New Media.
See, that's right. You're right.
It made it real accessible to, be a car guy and want to go racing, in a environment that was safe, not on the street. There was a, sanctioning body, there was some safety equipment there, and, it was definitely a much more controlled atmosphere. So I think that's how it got started, and we were fortunate enough to live in an area that, encompassed, a lot of drag strips around us, and racetracks around us.
I didn't even realize that because, basically now it's Maple Grove and Atco and Cecil, the little tracks, Vargo and York and that, they're gone.
And Vargo still has, I believe it's in November, they still have their hot rod reunion. And you can actually go out on the old drag strip. It's an old landing strip is what it was years ago, but they actually line the cars along the drag strip. The macadam's still there, so that's a neat deal. I've been to it a couple of times, and it's worth a Saturday morning if it's not too cold.
Right.
Get a little chilly.
It is. I was there. It was very, very cool. I'm going to give you a little tip here. In June, Darwin Dole is going to come on our show right here on PCTV,
okay. Wow.
and he's promoting the York US 30 reunion, which I don't have the date in front of me, but it's sometime in July. So you can check it out on the internet to get the date. But in the meantime, he's going to come on, and what that is York US 30 drag strip. Every year they get all the old-time funny cars and dragsters, and they have a car show reunion, which is really cool. I was never there, but everybody that goes says it's really something to see. So he'll be here in June to talk to you about that.
That's great, and I'm sure he'll be able to share a lot of history too. The local tracks.
I can't wait to see his pictures.
Absolutely, without a doubt. I'm sure it morphs mine without a doubt. My collection. And then to finish up. After the track championship, Carol built himself a again, a big block fuel injected, I guess that would be a 27 T bucket, I believe.
Okay.
He kind of ran that through the 80s, bracket raced it a little bit, and has actually since built another car. It's a supercharged car that he runs on some of the nostalgia circuits yet today.
Wow.
You know, so Carroll, like I say, again, like Junior, you know, decades of drag racing history.
Yep.
And it kind of comes down through the family. I have a photo there. I'm going to say that's probably from the late 70s, early 80s. That's of Carroll Jr. and his brief foray into drag racing. Like I say, Carroll Jr. still builds engines today for a lot of the Grandview stock car guys. I know he does Craig Von Doren stuff in particular. I'm not exactly sure who else he does. I think he does Banus Brothers Motorsports and maybe a few other
Now,
guys.
what's that, Jeffrey? What's the what is it? Stock?
D-gas.
D-gas.
That was a gas class car. Yep.
Okay, which
D-gas.
meant what?
You were allowed in the gas classes back in the 70s, you know, 60s and 70s, I'll say. You were allowed to run the fuel injection. You were allowed to have a flip front end. You could lighten the car up. You could take a lot of the street
stuff
legal
out of it.
components out of it, right, to, you know,
Right.
save the weight, things like that. You were allowed bigger tires. I think in the early days, the modified production
Yeah,
cars,
that had
super stock
huge
cars.
tires.
Yeah, exactly. They had tire rules, you know, where you were only allowed to go so large with the tires.
Flares, the panel
Flares,
painting.
yep,
I
with
mean,
the big,
that's just
back in the day, yeah. That's why I say
awesome.
late 70s, you know, early 80s, I would
Right.
venture to say.
Cool.
And again, with the fuel injection, the Hillborn injection. And my last photo
Awesome
from the
pictures.
Hein group, the first photo, if you remember, was back in the early mid-60s. And this is a photo of the same car. I believe I took that photo back in maybe 2007, 2008. Again, decades later, they still have the same car. You can see where the roll cage and things have definitely
yeah, a little
improved,
safer, yeah.
exactly, without a doubt. But I believe Carroll's grandson, on occasions now, races that car. He has a dragster he also races, Jeremy Hein, Jerry's son.
He
so-
raced junior dragster.
Yes,
Yeah, I
believe
do
he-
remember.
Was he a track champion? He might have been
Yeah,
a track
he-
champion in the
I think he was a
juniors.
track
I'm
champion,
I'm not
yes.
positive. I'd have to
See,
find
I don't
out for
know
sure.
the
but-
Hein family person. I know old man Carroll the best, and but I knew the kid, the grandson, was racing junior dragster. But that's a few years back. He's older now.
Another photo I have is from the 1972 Money Trail champion. It's Barry Mills, and for me personally, it's just a neat photo. I like the old big Chevys. I figured I would share that real quick. It was just a neat car in the day.
And this is the second track champion at Maple Grove.
Maple Grove, yes.
Heinze was the first, and now this.
1972. Barry Mills was his
Barry
name.
Mills.
Yeah, I never knew him
Wow.
personally, but you know that's the flip side when you ask about the gas class cars. This is a modified production car. You can see a smaller tire. A lot of the stock components are
Pretty
all
stock,
intact, exactly,
yeah,
short of the hood scoop.
That's cool.
From there, a name from last month again also, Ted Squeak Slayball. I have some photos of his car.
We had pictures from Norman Bowman on his car.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, Teddy and Teddy Jr. are still right here in, I guess it's Logan Street or Mulberry Street.
Mulberry, I believe you're
from
right, yep.
Pottstown, and they still build really killer engines. Another Motorhead family here from Pottstown.
Decades,
so
yeah.
that's his, what, 40 Willies?
40 Willies, yeah, I'm going to say that's probably like mid-late 60s, 67, 68 maybe. There's a couple more photos of the car as it
Hesitation.
Hesitation.
Always was Hesitation. That was the name.
Yep, and back in the day, you know, Squeak was known even back then, you know, for his engine building. You know, he did a lot of other cars on the UDRA circuit. That was a local, I guess you would call it local. Would you call it local, Tony? Local group of guys with the UDRA circuit.
Yeah.
You know, maybe like the tri-state area. And what they would do is they would, you know, be booked in. Back in those days, you would get booked into the track with your circuit, and you know, you would have 20 cars show up, you know, 25 cars show up, and you know, you would be like a show within the show. So
Right,
to
right.
speak, you know.
Wow.
I know that, you know, he ran through with that UDRA circuit, you know, through the years.
Tony, were you a young kid traveling to the races for a lot of this
Yeah,
stuff?
yeah.
Yeah,
And
with
my,
Dad?
my dad ran the UDRA circuit too.
Look at this shot.
Yeah. Yeah, a couple old gassers, again, a degasser. I think a car to my left, looking at it from here anyway. I'm not sure how everyone's looking at it out there, but that would be, it looks like an old Studebaker maybe, Tony?
Yeah.
Old Studebaker gasser.
Wow.
And that would be at Maple Grove. And anybody that's been there recently, I mean, you can
Don't
see.
look like that.
You can see where the fan base was back in the
Yes.
day. You stood in back of the cars and
Yeah.
you watched them that close, literally.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
Definitely
you
has
can't do that
changed.
now.
Jeffrey, you got some good stuff here.
And then this would be Squeak's car that he won the championship with. Squeak won this championship back in 1973. That's his Opel Kadett. I happened to stop by his house a couple times with a friend of mine, Chuck Schutz, as Squeak was building that. And if memory serves me correctly, I think he started building it in the basement and then took it to the garage, maybe.
That sounds
if
like it, yeah.
memory serves me correctly. Again, a
Yep.
gas class car, small block injected.
Hesitation, same name.
Yeah, absolutely. And back in the 1973, he was definitely the car to beat, and that's why he won the track championship that year.
Wow.
A couple years later, I have a couple more photos of his car. Squeak was still running it there, but that's with the updated version. As you can see, it's lower. It has the bigger tires. The fender wells are changed, repainted.
Jack Leary Speed Shop,
Yep,
Pottstown.
Pottstown, yes, yep. And Jack was at Staple B&J Speed Shop, turned into
Turned
Jack
into
Leary's,
Jack, yes,
right,
that's it.
exactly. And then I'm not sure if Paul was here. I know he would know the names of the fellows that bought the car from Squeak. But that's the Hungry Bunch, and they bracket raced it, I think, through the 80s for a number of years.
I do remember that.
Class raced it,
Yeah.
for a little while, and then, went to the bracket format.
And we don't know where the car's at.
That I'm not sure. I'm told it's still around, but I don't know.
I don't know who has it.
Yeah, I'm not sure where it got to.
The Opel Cadets were, imported from
Germany, I believe.
Germany for
Yep.
Buick.
Buick, exactly, yep.
And they
were
sold
at the
them up at
Buick
Howell
dealers.
Buick up in Douglasville. I used to work on them when they were new.
Yeah, there you go. Maybe you're giving up some of your age.
I
Maybe
know.
I'm not sure how that
I
goes, And again, decades later, here's a picture of Squeak's hot rod that he gets out to High Street with once in a while.
That's
I've
his
seen him there, Duryea
newest
days.
toy, yep.
Yep, red 32 Highboy. Again, he built it himself. And that's the thing, even with, Squeak and Junior today, these guys are still building their own
Still
cars.
building it, and his grandson's
neat.
always with him. So
Yeah,
there's
now,
another
yep.
there's another generation that's probably going to grow up loving shiny cars because Grandpop takes them out in the hot rod.
And hopefully, I'll give a plug to the Soapbox Derby. Hopefully, he gets into the gravity drags first before he lets him go into the
That's
junior
right.
dragsters or
Right.
anything like that. So
Right.
we'll get him out there with the gravity drags,
That's
hopefully,
cool.
first. Yeah. Okay, and then the last fellow I have some photos of is Ted Cass. Ted Cass was the 1975 Money Trail track champion at Maple Grove Raceway. And Ted started out, I'm going to say that photo is probably from, again, most of my stuff starts in the mid-late 60s. It was George Mentzer's Arsenic Corvette. I don't know that Ted drove it all the time, but I know that Ted drove it some of the time. And usually when he drove it, seemed to do fairly well.
Nice.
I know that when I first started going to the races, 68, maybe 69, the car was still at the track, still competing. From there, after I got to know Ted a little bit through Chuck Schutz, he started racing a Chevy too.
Yeah, that picture we had.
You had that
something
a
like
different
that.
photo, a similar
Yeah,
photo.
something like that. But that car, Freeman Auto Parts, up on High Street, where Hudson used to be.
Hudson used to
then
be
they
in
moved-
R&R Transmissions there today.
That was, and then they moved down later years to where Total Rental. Later, they just
No,
did windshields.
Well, no, that was a relative, I believe.
Oh,
I
that
think
was a
that
relative.
was a cousin. Yeah, I
But the
think that
original Freeman brothers were up on West High Street,
Correct.
where R&R Transmission is now,
today.
not far from where Jeffrey works. Jeffrey works at AMS. You ever need auto parts,
There you
stop
go.
in
It's a-
AMS, ask for Jeffrey.
Another good plug, thank you. But yeah, that's the Chevy 2 Ted raced, and actually Ted
Wow.
drove that car on the street, raced it, and then put it back on the street when he was done with it. Again, a modified production type car, smaller tires, and he, had the ability to put it back on the street because it didn't get gutted, so to speak, like your gas class cars
And
back in the day.
he worked there, or no?
Yeah. Oh, Ted managed Friedman Brothers
managed
for
Friedman
years.
Brothers, so
Actually,
that's
until they closed. I would venture
Wow.
to say Ted was probably there till 81, 2 maybe, something like that. I'd have to find out for sure, but I know he managed it until they closed. He was there
Okay.
for quite a number of years. And from there, Ted got a 69 Camaro.
Oh, there you go. There's
Yep.
my passion.
Yeah, I was going to say, you should be able to tell us about that maybe, or at least,
Yep.
a little bit about how it works.
Look at that.
S&W Speed Shop, I guess, sponsored. It's on the side there. The car was silver with a black top, if memory serves me correctly. It's a black and white
Look how
photo.
low the front end is.
Yeah. yeah.
Nice.
Again,
The
I'm
whole car
going to
is low.
say that was like probably very late 60s, early 70s.
Mm-hmm.
And then Ted raced that car for a number of years. After that, it took on the Arsenic 2 name. And George Mentzer worked with him for a while. Again, probably in the early 70s with that photo.
Nice.
Maple Grove Raceway. Still had the small tires and stuff. It was really before the advent of the big tires and lightweight wheels. Still has the Krager SS's on it.
White vinyl top.
Actually, no, he took the vinyl top off.
He took it off and
Took
it's
it off
just
and
the
just left the
trim.
chrome strips.
Just the
Yep,
trim,
and
yeah.
you'll see that again in this photo. And this is a photo of the car the year he won the track championship in 1975. It's Maple Grove at night.
Check out the name on that quarter panel. Talk about a local race car legend, Ed Quay Race Cars. Ed Quay is retired, but Bob Overdorf bought the business up on West High Street. They're always known for their door slammers and their drag cars, street kits. So if you need any Pro Stockers Build or any high rate.
Right.
Go see Bobby up at Ed Quay's, still in business today.
Oh, absolutely.
A legend. Worked for Jenkins back in the day, and he was known for the door cars like Camaros, and S&W was known for the dragsters.
Correct.
And the funny cars. So.
Yep. Yeah, without a doubt. And like you said, with Bob, took over the business from Quay.
Yep.
I think he worked for Ed
Oh,
20 years or so before Ed retired and
Yep.
sold him the business. And,
Yep.
Bob definitely learned from one of the best, but he's continuing the tradition. I mean, as far as welding, race car
Quality,
fabrication,
yes.
without a doubt.
Yep.
Yes. If you want to see real welds, Bob definitely knows how to weld.
Oh my, yeah.
And the last photo for the evening I brought along just to show you what some of the attire was. Again, a local car, Bob Rexroad's car, the War Chevelle. Bob raced that
There we
car,
go.
I'm going to venture to say, from 72-3 through like maybe 76. If you check out the attire,
Little glare, but I'll fix it.
the attire from the 70s with the bell bottoms and midriff tops and such, was the attire. But that's
Now-
Ron Finnegan.
Yeah, Ron Finnegan.
He was the driver. He would be in the leather coat. Ella was Bob's wife, and Bob Rexroad. Again, guy that's been around for a long time. He's still involved with some of the stock cars and sprint cars with some of the folks that still race it, the local dirt tracks. I know Bob still gives them a hand. He's still involved. And again, you get these guys that, have so much history just, from
yeah.
doing it for, the years and years that, they've been participating at whichever level it may be.
Yeah, Rexroads. I mean, I first met Ella and him and Bob at the Corvette Club in the 70s. And we were, Ella and I were friends right away, of course. Great person. I actually talked to her maybe 6 months ago on the phone. So, Ella, I hope you're watching tonight. I love the old photo and the old clothes. Let's see that photo again, one more time. Of war.
She might be calling. I don't know.
60
After that phone, you're liable to get that phone call. You might
Yeah,
not want
she's
it. I'm
gonna
not so
call me
sure.
tomorrow,
exactly.
yeah.
You're liable
What
to
are you
do it
doing
up.
showing
Yeah,
up?
right. Yeah, whose idea was that? Right, where did that come from?
We're a great racing family. I guess just outside of Pottstown, like towards Coventry.
Yeah, Kimberton, Phoenix,
Yeah,
maybe
somewhere
like
out
down
there
that
is
way a
where
little
they
bit.
were
Yeah,
from.
yeah, exactly. I mean, close by, absolutely. Yeah.
So thank you, Jeff. That photo
Sure.
group was really, really cool.
Appreciate it, and hopefully some guys will show some interest, also get in touch with you, and
They are. I mean,
bringing
the
back
people-
some of the memories and
people are
talk
coming
about some
in.
of the history.
It is. It's really cool. And sometimes I make a mistake on the show because I try like Steve or Gene. but the best thing
It's all good.
is you come on and you tell the story, and I'm invitation to anyone. You give me a call, come on the show, and tell your car story here on PCTV. Gus and Television and his wife Debbie does a great job with the cameras. I want to give a shout out to them for helping us do this show and broadcasting it just about every day. Like I said, check the Mercury schedule on PCTV or watch us on the internet. And check my website out, www.wheels-in-motion.biz. All of our latest projects are on there, all of our cars we're getting going for the spring. So get your hot rods ready. Get them out of mothballs. Get them running. Don't forget to pull the wheels. Check them out. Make sure they've been sitting all winter. And we'll see you at the local car cruise on High Street. What is it, Tony? May 4th?
May 4th is the first
May
one.
4th, first one. Be there. And thanks for tuning in for another episode of Car Stories here on PCTV.